So imagine this. You've poured everything into a new venture, found a way to waste into fuel, only for the economy to crash the day your loan closes. Then the government cuts all subsidies, wipes out your entire industry. Most would quit, most did quit, but what if that was just the beginning of a multi-million dollar award winning legacy? Today we're decoding the incredible against all odds story of Green Energy Biofuel. It's a company that didn't just survive the impossible, but innovated, pivoted, and built a true legacy of sustainability. Welcome to Legacy Decoded. This is your blueprint to building with impact, one decision at a time. I'm your host, Kalei Poteat, and this is where vision meets execution. Short term hacks take a backseat to legacy level impact. Today, we're diving deep into a story that embodies everything this podcast stands for. This is going to be a masterclass in entrepreneur grit, strategic innovation, unwavering commitment to a mission. We're talking about the journey of BioJoe Renwick and their company, Green Energy Biofuel. Their story isn't just about making biodiesel, it's about transforming waste, creating jobs, and building a business that genuinely leaves the world better than they found it. And before we jump in to this incredible narrative, a quick word. I would love for you to just like, share, and comment. If you know someone who would definitely appreciate this conversation, share it. But as our story begins with Joe Renwick, this is a serial entrepreneur from Winsboro, South Carolina. Joe, could you please, just for people in the audience and supporters who have not just heard of you and Green Energy, can you tell us a little bit about how you guys got started?
Oh, well, it really started in my garage. I met a guy that knew how to make
Mm,
biodiesel. I owned a diesel truck simply because I had previously owned a landscaping
mm,
company. When I sold the company, I kept the truck. Years later, mortgage industry collapsed. I lost my job as an account executive with Wachovia Bank, doing wholesale mortgage brokering, and found myself unable to afford fuel. In 2007, if everybody remembers, fuel prices went through the roof.
mm,
Diesel fuel in our market went up to $7 per gallon, which gave me a struggle to put fuel in my truck. And so I met a guy that knew how to make biodiesel. I'd never even heard the term or the word before. I went to his house. He taught me how to make it. His name was Matt Davis, who's now Dr. Matt Davis.
mm.
And I left his house, and that very day I started buying parts and equipment to build my own dual reactor processor in my garage. Then after making a number of batches and kind of getting some confidence in the fuel that I was able to produce with waste cooking oil that I was getting from restaurants, I started to put it into my own truck and my farm tractor, and then it just ran from there. Just kept making fuel and kept growing. Got different grants and different awards for opportunities. We got accepted into a business accelerator program and then a business incubator program, and we got a NASA research grant to develop a boilerless technology heating system that allowed us to produce heat needed to run a biofuel facility for 1/10 of the cost of a traditional boiler and setup, and just kept innovating and learning, and a lot of trial and error. I mean, that's a fast forward story of pain and suffering and scraping it together with credit cards and used equipment. Um, you know, there's a plant in our town that made body parts for automotive companies. If you remember, in 2008, 2009, the car market shuttered, and this facility shut down in the town that I was in, and almost probably 80% of the process equipment and tables, chairs, office furniture, computers, I mean, you name it, came from this bankrupted car part manufacturer that gave us, opportunity to buy, equipment for dirt cheap. And I mean, we built our business out of the ashes and out of the rubble of failures of other companies, both in this marketplace. We bought 7 different bankrupted biofuel plants and equipment and things, and I mean, we've just hustled and ground and hustled and grind. I mean, and innovated and created opportunities where there were none through sheer desperation, as well as the need to be
Yeah.
able to cover our debts. In a quick amount of time, we were able to get a loan from the bank, and like you mentioned at the beginning of the call or the podcast, that was the day that the
Yeah.
stock market crashed, and the paperwork had been printed out the day before because we had to meet the banker at 7 a.m. before the banks opened to sign our paperwork because my partner at the
Mm.
time had a full-time job already. He had to be at work. And had that paperwork not been printed out and post-dated the day before, we would not have gotten the loan to start our company. The mortgage industry collapse would have effectively killed our business, and I don't know what would have happened. So, I mean, we've been blessed with some crazy stuff and some crazy stories along the way that, I mean, I don't know how else to describe or explain how we've gotten to where we are without giving a lot of thanks
Wow.
to God that we've been able to take opportunities and talents that were presented to us and utilize them to capitalize on what we're doing.
100%, man. That is very inspiring. And congratulations, by the way. That's excellent, man. I'd love to know if every
Thanks.
competitor in your industry kind of disappeared overnight, would you see crisis or opportunity?
So when we first started the business, we were really in competition with other
Mm.
biodiesel production companies. But in 2009, I believe it was, the credit system that supports biofuel production got cut from $1 plus
Wow.
per gallon to zero. And there were 9 biofuel operational facilities in just the state of South Carolina, and all of them closed,
Oh.
every single facility. And so, I mean, it that changed the game that we became the only people in town, and that gave us a huge opportunity and a market advantage to grow where there was essentially no competition. But then we quickly moved from really being in competition with other people that make biofuel to then being in competition with people that collect feedstock, or for us,
Mm.
the waste vegetable oil that we get from restaurants. And so really that's kind of where we are now, is that's
Mm.
really our big competition, is other people that collect fats, oils, and grease that refine those waste streams into
Mm.
a usable feedstock that can be used to produce biofuel. And so we now are, we're in competition, with, of course, with a handful of companies, but, all of the companies in the marketplace now are essentially selling all of their oil into the biofuel market, and it goes to large
Mm.
renewable diesel companies. And renewable diesel is a new technology allowing production of fuel that's like maybe 13 to 15
Mm.
cents per gallon cost. Our cost per gallon with the technology that we started with was over almost like
Mm.
$1.40,
Mm.
$1.50 per gallon. And we also had a 20% yield loss. So if we had 1,000 gallons or 1,000 gallons of oil that we would convert into fuel, we would only have finished product maybe
Mm.
800 gallons at the end of the day, and it cost us 10 times as much as what the new guys, what it cost them. And now the big difference in the market is petroleum companies are the people that own the renewable diesel plants. When we first started, anybody that had willingness and a little bit of money they could scrape together could build a biodiesel production plant. So old technology, it was cheap, barrier to market to get in, to build a plant, to get going, but high operating cost. Now it's really expensive, hundreds of millions of dollars to build the plant, and then the production cost is really low on the back end. And so everything, I mean, the game has changed. Everything
I'd
has
love to
changed.
get your insight or just, what do you think about hydrogen right now?
I mean, we did research projects with hydrogen fuel cells with a few different companies when we started our business through 2008, probably through 2010 or 11. And we were doing piggyback hydrogen kits that would install on a diesel engine, and it would supplement the fuel demand with hydrogen gas directly put into the intake, mixed with the air, before then the diesel fuel would be atomized. And so what we found was huge benefit if you were running a high percentage petroleum diesel. But biodiesel is a long hydrocarbon chain. And with the long hydrocarbon chain, when you introduce hydrogen into the mix of the air gas mixture, it actually decreased the performance and was not a net benefit. And so when we started our business, we literally collected the oil, made our own fuel, and operated our business on 100% biodiesel. We didn't buy petroleum fuel. And so in this instance of doing these research testing, we were forced to use petroleum fuel just to do the research and the R&D for these hydrogen piggyback kits. And it just went against the mission of eliminating petroleum fuel from the market. But it turned out the hydrogen systems work very well when high percentage blends of petroleum were present. And so we ultimately discontinued testing. The funding that the companies had at the time were to try to create basically a solar powered vehicle that would charge on solar electricity. It would be a hybrid engine that would be a diesel engine, and that hybrid diesel engine would also run on a blend of biodiesel and hydrogen fuel. And so it was like all the renewable energy tech all wrapped up into these 3 or 4 different companies that we worked with at the time in order to try to find a pathway to a viable business model and a viable vehicle research and production plan put in place. It didn't fail because of hydrogen and biodiesel not working well together from an alternative fuel perspective. It was a lot for the market and for people to be able to accept not just, oh, hey, there's a hybrid vehicle, which, I mean, people love hybrids right now, gas and electric, beautiful. But there's not a commonplace diesel hybrid in the market. So that was like challenge number 1. And then layer in on top of that, having a solar charging capability, which makes sense. But then layer in on top of that hydrogen and biodiesel. It was too much. And the companies that we work with were unable to make it to market.
Interesting.
But your question originally was, what do I think about hydrogen? I think it's super cool. I think it's viable. I don't know that the marketplace is ready for it, and I don't know that big oil, petroleum, and manufacturing industries are ready to fully back it and accept it. At the end of the day, if you don't have buy-in from everyone, there's going to be limited success, and there's going to be barriers to market.
Got it. Now, I'd love to know, Joe, can you share a little bit about, your role and how it fits into the big picture at Energy since you guys have grown?
So what, like my role within my business or my role
we
within
could do
the
both.
industry? Okay. Well, within the business, I'm the head honcho. Literally, like, my title is head honcho. I do not like standardized titles. I mean, if you wanted to give me a title, it would be CEO. I don't prefer that title. But I mean, that is what I do. I'm mandatory. My wife and I are business partners, and she's the HBIC and has that on her business card. And she is a medical professional. She's an ER physician that does this biofuel business with me as like a side hustle, I guess you call it. But we run the business. We've got 43 or 44 employees now. We have four facilities that we own and operate. We service Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, and we have facilities in right at the South Carolina Georgia state line. We have one in Knoxville, Tennessee. We have one just above Columbia, South Carolina, or two right in the Columbia, South Carolina market. So we don't just own biofuel companies. We also own a composting business that allows us to take organic waste that comes from our oil refining process and sends that material into our compost facility. But we also manage food waste for large food manufacturers. And so, I mean, imagine a distribution center for a large food manufacturer, which I'm not allowed to name by name due to NDAs and stuff, but imagine the biggest, hugest companies in the world that deliver food everywhere. They have a tendency to have, born on date expiration issues. They have to discharge and get rid of food for food quality and safety and whatnot. And we are now a consumer of those waste streams and are able to refine those wastes where there's a possibility of recovering fats, oils, and grease. We do. Otherwise, all the waste material goes to our compost company. And so I'm in charge of all of that. But we've got management. I mean, I'm not the one-man band. We've got managers delegated to each facility. Each one has their own staff and management team to keep things running. But ultimately, we are a small company. We do $25 million a year in revenue. We've got a unofficial title of the largest feedstock
Nice.
producer on the East Coast, and we produce finished product over 500,000 gallons of material feedstock to the biofuel industry per month. In order to produce that volume of 500,000 gallons, we have to bring in, I mean, our numbers of the total volume of waste that our business with the compost and the biofuel business combined is over 1 million pounds a
Wow.
month. Like with the multiplier on there. And so we're managing all kinds of waste streams. And man, when I started in my garage, I mean, I had no idea. I mean, I've been doing this since 2007 from the garage to now. We incorporated in 2008, but I didn't know how far this would go, and I wasn't even thinking about that. I literally just wanted to make fuel for my pickup truck. And then now I've got the nickname BioJoe, and I'm told that it's Googleable, and you can find me that way too. But I mean, it's been a
Wow.
roller coaster ride of emotions. There's been amazing hurdles that we've crossed, that we've done things in the industry that nobody's ever done before, and we still do things in the industry that nobody's done. And to the outside world looking in, it sounds like we're a hot mess. Oh, you collect cooking oil, and you pump grease traps, and you do pressure washing and line jetting and video camera inspection of drain lines for restaurants. But hold on a second, then you also manage food waste for food distribution centers, and you do compost, and it just sounds too complicated. But man, it seamlessly works together, and one thing supports the other. If we didn't have, the compost company, we couldn't manage waste streams like we do. If we didn't have the biofuel company, we wouldn't have access to, all the feedstock that we have. And it's just, again, we didn't plan it this way. We just arrived at where we are, and we're
Yeah.
grinding it out every day, trying to, look at opportunities for expansion. I mean, we've got plans in place of hopefully Q2 of 2026 to have a new facility on the ground above Charlotte, below Winston-Salem-ish area in North Carolina. And past that, we have the expansion plans on top of that. But, it's it's just we take it every day. Crazy opportunities and phone calls come in that I don't even know how to make things work, and then the next thing you know, we make it work. There's no playbook.
Man, that's amazing, man. That's true grit and resilience. You know what? 'Cause with so many different moving parts and so many things in mind, what does a typical day look like for you?
uh, Wake up around 5:36. Check emails, listen to the news, have coffee, get my daughter up, get her ready to go to school. Full daughter focus time from 7 to 8. Have her dropped off, and then start taking conference calls and phone calls with staff and employees from 8:30, 9:30, and then it shifts gears to dealing with the outside world from 9:30 until the end of business. I travel from plant to plant, not on a weekly basis, going to every single location, but on a weekly basis, or not on a daily basis, every location, but on a weekly basis. I usually go to our Winsboro plant once a week on Wednesdays. So Winsboro Wednesday is like a thing, and I've been trying to do like a resoil Friday, and trying to do our plant down in Warrenville, the large biofuel plant that we have. I try to go to it every Tuesday, and then I'm a wild card on Monday and Thursday as to where to go and what I do. But I've gotten so busy within my role that I often don't have the luxury of time to travel to the facilities, that I have to just work from my home office, which is the couch. I don't have a true home office, but I have a comfortable couch. And so I've kind of shifted gears to where I spend a lot of time working privately by myself, but with other people collaborating and strategizing and planning. But then the day ends with me picking my daughter up usually from school around 4:30. Then I have daddy-daughter time and wife time until about 8:30 or 9 when she goes to bed, and then I go back to work. And I usually work from 11 until from 9 until 11 or 12 or sometimes 1. And I do that every day, and I've been doing that every day since before this business started out. People talk about, oh, you're going to burn out. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, this has been 20 years. It's just what I do. I have my quiet time at night where I don't have phone calls and texts and stuff. I can focus. I have a little quiet time for planning in the morning, and I have family time. In the morning, I really try to not have any business phone calls or dealings between 7 and 8 until I drop my daughter off at school. And then I try not to have dealings in my time with her, bringing her back from school and at an afternoon. But honestly, business creeps in often, and so, my dog, she's 10 years old. She knows what's up. So we do what we can, but I've in the last year or so I've been working more on like life balance, because I've definitely not always had a healthy balance. It's just been work
Right.
until I just stop and I do something else. And so, but I enjoy it. I mean, it's fun. Even when I'm not working, I'm thinking about work.
That's the true spirit of an entrepreneur, I believe, man. You guys have given over like 100 internships to college students, many of whom you guys have hired, right? I think you have the Bio for Ed programs.
Yeah, so we actually, that first year we were in business, we had 2 mechanical engineering interns from University of South Carolina and 1 intern from Clemson University. And we built the biofuel process plant during a 3-month time frame in the summer. And at the end of that year, in December of that year, we were fully online making fuel and got certified as ASTM biofuel producer, allowed to sell to the U.S. market
Yeah.
with the process that we built with a bunch of interns over the summer. And so that paved the way for additional internships, and we continuously have internships every school year with the Citadel Military College in Charleston, University of South Carolina, Gamecocks in Columbia, and then Clemson University in the upstate of South Carolina. And so it's been just year over year over year internships, whether it's mechanical engineering or just business or biology. It doesn't matter what the major is of the student. It really comes down to, are you interested in the biofuel or composting industry? And if so, we can give you an opportunity to serve in a form and function within. Depending on what the skill set is, we might have you working on social media or drafting SOP documentation, or doing research, or doing testing in the lab on feedstocks. I mean, it really depends on the intern as to what we ask them to do. We've had some interns go and do sales. We've had some sit behind the computer screen all day long and data crunch numbers. And it really comes down to the intern. Just because they're majoring in a certain thing doesn't mean that they have a skill set within that major. And so I've just learned, not just with the people that we have intern, but the people that we employ, you hire them based on what they say they want to do, but you have them do what they're good at doing. And so we've tried to, we start, even with job descriptions with employees that we hire for full-time employment, we start them with one understanding of, okay, yeah, we need you to do this, but I mean, once we go down the road and we see that they're better at other things, I mean, we do, all of our staff, they do kind of whatever's needed, and we all evolve, and depending on what staff member's there in a given day. I mean, we do have people that float from one role to another, and we've got crossover training and whatnot, but ultimately we've got a really diverse workforce within our company, and just we did like a DISC assessment, like a personality assessment of all of our staff, and we didn't know what we would find on the other side of that, and it was really cool because we found out that our entire staff are all performers. They all want to make things better. They all want to understand something and tweak it and fix it. And then subset personality traits vary from person to person, but we really didn't have anybody that didn't fit in that performer type, mentality. And I'd like to say that we knew that going into hiring, but I mean, the culture that we have attracts people that are kind of disruptors a little bit, or they want to change something, or they want to make something better. I mean, our business model is essentially disruption of marketplace standards, of doing things differently, doing things better, taking something that is a waste and upcycling it into something that's a viable, usable product. And so we've got an amazing HR manager that does a really good job bringing in really consistent talent that get along with one another. I mean, we really do have like the family culture that everybody kind of pokes and jokes at one another and talks junk, and it's all fun and games, and it's a fun place to work. I mean, I don't just have like a bunch of employees. I mean, I've got a lot of friends. I've hired my brother, who my big brother Matt Renwick runs our compost company. I've had multiple cousins work for me. I've had my dad work for us for a while, actually. He retired and was home for a few weeks, and next thing you know, he started showing up at the plant, and he's super talented. He's like MacGyver. And then he came back day after day after day. Next thing you know, we bought him a uniform. Next thing you know, we put him on payroll. And so I've got guys that I went to the Citadel Military College, which is in Charleston, South Carolina. And one of the guys I graduated with is our head of sales for industrial services. And then when I was a senior, my freshman mentor, I was the mentor to a freshman who's now also head of sales for like the service side of the business with restaurants. And so, I mean, I hire friends and family, and I've been able to manage it without a lot of issues people always say that's the kiss of death. In business, never hire friends and family, but I disagree. You can
Yeah.
trust friends and family, and you can lean on them more than you can some yahoo from off the street that'll just up and quit just because
Right.
they're not happy with something. That, I mean, and I don't mean they've been with me for like just a year or two. I mean, a lot of these people have been with us for years and years and years, and I mean, I value them and appreciate them, and it's been really good. It definitely creates that cohesive culture that when new people come in, they see some long-term employees that have been with us, for a while that, have that friendship background. We do blur the line in the culture of our business of
Yeah.
like the whole hierarchy. That I'm the boss, but I mean I'm just Joe. I mean ultimately like sign the paychecks and make things happen, but I don't view it that way. I'm just there to work, and I've done every job of every person that I've hired. I mean, I like doing welding and fabricating and fixing and repairing and maintenance. I mean,
Nice.
that's like my happy place. I just happen to
Mm.
not be allowed to do that anymore, and I have to write emails and take phone calls and manage the business
Yeah.
all day, and that's fine too. But I mean, I don't ask anyone to do
Right.
something that I haven't done before, and I really find a lot of value in doing some of the work myself, especially when we're introducing something new, so that I can define the SOP and the role and understand so that we can hire and train people better through me understanding what needs to be done and not just, being that business owner that's disconnected on the outside looking in
Yeah.
that doesn't really know what's going on. I mean, I've driven the collection truck. I've collected the oil, I've done sales, I've refined the oil, I've made the biodiesel, I've distributed the biodiesel, I've sold the biodiesel. I mean, there
Yeah.
isn't a thing that I haven't done. But luckily, there are some things that I don't do anymore. I'm
Mm.
absolutely horrible with the checkbook. I do not handle any financial anything other than making the deals and
Nice.
making things happen. Um, so like with any business owner that's
Mm.
successful, you can't do it all, and you delegate what you're not good at doing
Mm.
immediately as soon as possible to other people that are good at it, or either you fail. And I only say that because I know, like, I'm not. You ask any employee of mine, is
Mm.
BioJoe in charge of the books?
I love that.
No, I'm not. I've got a full staff, and so. But I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. And the funny thing is, even since like 17, 18 years of doing this, I
Mm.
really feel like we're just getting started. We're privately funded. We've got money in the bank, and we've always
Mm.
been profitable and growing. And we've never had to seek real investment from others. We just if we need a truck, we go buy a truck, and we get a loan from the bank, and we make payments like a normal thing. But I mean, we've been able to scale and grow in ways that, when we do talk to banks and they ask about, finances and numbers, I mean, we've got people to explain them, on staff to them, but we've always been able to do it for less. So, like, if I had $100,000, I don't just go and buy a piece of equipment for $100,000. I'll buy a piece of equipment for $30,000, and I'll get the whole installation and everything done for less than $100,000. I mean, you cannot spend like everybody says. You got to spend money to make money, and I mean I somewhat disagree. You've got to hustle and grind
Mm.
and find good deals. Everything brand new doesn't always equate to the best thing that you can do for the business when you're strapped for cash. But there's a different way to grow. I didn't know how expensive a 10, 12, 13, 14, 15
Mm.
dollar an hour employee was until I started seeing the value of a 19, 20, 25, 28, $29 an hour employee. You just when you're younger and you can't afford people, that's almost. And I had people tell me this, but I didn't listen because I'm hard-headed. But if anybody listening to this podcast feels like they can't afford anybody that gets paid more than $15 an hour, you are wrong. There's
Mm.
nothing but high-level turnover, damage, disruption, tearing up equipment or systems, and not following
Mm.
orders and doing things. And I mean, man, try to get somebody if that's in that $15
Right.
an hour like skill set range, but find somebody that's worth $20 to $22 an hour, and you won't have to replace them. You won't have to ask them twice. They may even lead the operation and take things off of your plate. I just didn't realize how costly a $15 an hour staff was until I moved up to like the $20 to $25 an hour staff, where they can take assignments, they can fix things and do things without causing more problems. It's not faulting people that are in the $15 an hour price range, but I mean, if that's all you're ever going to make and that's where you are, I mean, you need to be working harder to be more disciplined to get to the next level. And we had people that were super satisfied at 15. They never wanted more than that. And you really almost have to find somebody that's unwilling to accept that little, because they know that themselves that they're worth more. And it really took a long time for that to sink in and for us to see that benefit of having a higher caliber staff. But I've read it somewhere that every turnover costs the company $30,000 in lost training, in damage, in disruption to the business, and I wholeheartedly believe that. And $30,000 a year is roughly $15 an hour of a pay rate, and so it doesn't do you any good to hire, that low level or lower level person. You really gotta scrape it together and make it work and get some 20-something an hour people in the door, or you just won't ever
Yeah,
grow.
man. I like to just ask the listeners, if you're watching or listening to this, this isn't just a business success story. It's kind of like a testament to building a legacy that truly matters. It's about seeing problems not as roadblocks, but as opportunities to innovate, to serve, to make a profound impact. Big Joe, I'd like to also know, man, if what major shifts are you kind of seeing in your industry right now?
So the big shift was 2017-18 was when renewable diesel really started to get a foothold in the marketplace as the way to make a alternative fuel. And then fast forward, every year more and more and more plants were built that are these $100 million expense plants. But each one of these plants has the ability of making almost 1 million gallons every day. And so you let that sink in, 1 million gallons a day. I mean, holy smoke. And so now the industry is such that there really are no biodiesel facilities like the small mom and pop owned that maybe they cost $1 million or less to build, or something less than $100 million for sure. They are all one by one falling by the wayside if they haven't already, because they can't compete in the marketplace with these bigger petroleum-backed, and I mean like Chevron, Marathon, BP. I mean, all the big players now own their own renewable diesel facilities, and so it's just a different market. I mean, the fuel quality is supposed to be better. I know the production cost is way less, and so from a investor standpoint, I mean, it's a good return on investment for the big petroleum companies to be in charge of this marketplace now, where before it was people like me, just these mom and pop owned businesses that, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't know anything about the fuel market. Like, this biodiesel predominantly has to be blended with petroleum fuel in order to be sold. And so, it's just, the market now is dominated by petroleum fuel companies that own renewable diesel plants, because of the similarity between the two tech. You can actually modify very simply a renewable diesel facility for it to produce petroleum fuel. And so it's really just a natural progression of the industry, so to speak, that it's kind of shifted over to this other side. But I still rest in the fact that we're collecting the same oil that we've ever collected, but we're just selling it at a crazy high volume to get it into the marketplace. That before, when we were running our little biodiesel plant, I mean, we barely could make 20,000 gallons a month. 20. I'm doing a 500,000 gallons
That's
a
what's
month
up.
now. I mean, it just, there's no comparison to the impact or the position that, I mean, yeah, we're a cog in the wheel of the big, big machine, so to speak, for fuel demand and production in America. But we are one of the bigger players in our little southeast market, and we do have the intent of growing, outside of that range over
Wow.
the next coming years. But the big shift in the industry is it's run by big petroleum companies, and so like the big beautiful
Yeah.
bill that everybody talks about, um, it actually does benefit our business model, because they're not allowing any credits or subsidies to go to the fuel manufacturers unless the
Wow.
feedstock comes from America. And so it's an American First initiative, which has been really needed. Three
Wow.
3 years ago, and nobody even knows this. 3 years ago, China
Mm.
imported more oil for use for biofuel feedstock production than
Mm.
any country in the world into America. And even if you took the top six,
Mm.
with China being number one, if you added together the total imported volume of second place, third place, fourth place,
Mm.
fifth place, and added it all together, it doesn't even equate to half of what China alone was importing into America. And so all of those gallons were competing with our gallons. That here we are in America working so hard to recycle oil in our little engine, the little engine that could, Green Energy, and we were having to compete with China importing oil in, coming from who knows where. And I mean, man, it was tough. Market values were
Mm.
down. We struggled for a while. But with this new legislation in place, that oil doesn't have a pathway to gain full credit in the market. And that's been a huge shot in the arm, positive shot in the arm for our business to have the
Yeah.
government now behind us, backing this industry, demanding that the oil used to make fuel comes from America first. And so we're in a great place.
Mm.
I do hate politics deeply. I do not like to have conversations or discussions. And this bill for some people is
Yeah.
great, for other people it's not. And whether you like it or not, it's in place. I've learned that my
Mm.
place is not in the politics. I did try to get political in my first few years, and would actually
Yeah.
go and lobby on my own behalf at the state house. And once I saw how the system works, I got so disenfranchised from the whole thing that I don't get involved. So I'm not political Joe. I'm bio Joe. I feel like cooking oil and waste, and I give it a
Love it,
better
man.
second
What do you
life.
feel is kind of working well for you right now? What's kind of like been the most frustrating?
I mean, the secret sauce for us is our staff,
Mm.
is our culture, is our company. Our rethinking sustainability motto is certainly a driving force in the space that we're in. That I still find it odd that I have conversations with people that have no idea that you
Wow.
can recycle oil. I mean, truly, on a regular basis, people just are blown away that you can recycle fats and oils and make fuel. And it's just, yeah, I've been doing it. And then literally, people ask me, "Oh, you can make a living doing that?" Like they think that I'm
Right.
like part time doing this,
Right.
that this isn't viable, and they're truly surprised when I tell them, no, this is a full time job. I've been doing it since 2008. We've got 4 plants and 47 employees, and they're just blown away. They can't even believe that this could be a thing. And I mean, yeah, it is a niche market and whatnot, but I mean, I have a biased opinion, of course, because I'm in this and I'm doing this, but I mean, I feel like people should be aware that there is a value to waste fats, oils, and grease, and it can be an alternative to trying to mine and whatever pull oil feedstocks from the ground, or and it'll never replace it. I mean, you will never replace petroleum fuel, and so many people try to argue, but at the end of the day, man, the demand of the world for
Mm.
fuel itself, for energy, biofuel is only a option. it's like a buckshot approach. You know, there has to be some solar, some wind, some natural gas, some propane, some petroleum, gas, diesel. I mean, you name it. Some biofuel, some ethanol, hydrogen fuel. I mean, everything, every type of energy, whether it's alternative or petroleum, are in demand and needed. I mean, if nothing, we are a growing energy demanding society, and there's more people on the earth today than there were yesterday, and all those people need food and energy, and the demand for it all won't ever go away. Who has first position in the market is, you know, it changes from day to day, but I mean, I feel incredibly confident that we've chosen the right path as far as the industry that we're in, and on the waste refining side of it. And I mean, sky's the
That's
limit
beautiful,
for us.
man. And we have a lot of drivers and owner operators, small carrier companies that typically watch or tune in. What advice would you have for maybe a driver who was thinking about getting their own truck, or maybe just like an owner operator who's thinking about maybe transitioning into hauling biofuel? Like, what kind of advice would you give them?
Lease the truck. So we've bought so many used trucks over the years, and it is a way to get started, but it can be a way to hold you back after you get started. So grind it out, get started with whatever you can, but as soon as you can afford a monthly payment and you have contracts and work lined up that can support the monthly payment, immediately move to a monthly payment for a basic hauling tractor trailer truck. If you have some like super specialty equipment, well, I mean, you might need to own that. But we've made a lot of trial and error decisions over the years of running used equipment, government surplus, and just I bought stuff on
Right.
Marketplace, on Craigslist, on eBay. I mean, I have hustled that. Look, I've got $25,000 and I need a tractor trailer truck to haul material, which, I mean, brand new ones are $150,000, or I mean, you can go crazy with numbers on trucks, but I mean, to an extent, a tractor trailer truck pulls weight, and one truck versus another. I mean, everybody argues that Peterbilt or Kenworth or Freightliner or International. I mean, everybody has their preference as to what they think is the best. I've got mixed reviews. We currently run a heavy fleet of Mack, Isuzu fleet vehicles, but I mean, we've got Peterbilt and Kenworth and Freightliner. It really depends on the dealer in the local market that people would have, and the service that dealer can provide. Because just because the truck is good doesn't mean the service center that would support you after you purchase it would be the right fit. And so, and there's so much that goes into the purchasing of the right truck. And then it's year, make, and model. I mean, there were certain years that trucks were just complete junk that, I just don't know about anything in the 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, almost 15 time frame that the DES system, the diesel emission fuel and emission reduction tech that was being forced on the industry at the time, was untested and unknown, and high failure rate, crazy high expense to maintain. That there's been a lot of movement in that space, and things have gotten better, but finding the right truck is critical because of the business disruption that you get. So if you own a truck and it goes down, you have to rent a truck or just wait until it's fixed. But if you lease a truck and it goes down, they'll often help you with another vehicle while your lease vehicle is in the shop.
Yeah.
And so that would be my suggestion to anyone in the market that's trying to figure out how to navigate.
So what if they say, BioJoe, I don't really know, much about sales, and I, how do I go about actually getting contracts for biodiesel?
Well, for biodiesel, I honestly, I almost couldn't tell you. On the oil side, I mean, man, I've never had more difficult closing deals in my life than closing a restaurant or a food service company on service. I mean, it is some of the hardest. So, like restaurants, you'll get these type A personalities that are really militant. They're really, I run my business this way and I do these things. That you got to know how to handle that person versus the charismatic, just real friendly restaurant owner that everybody likes to eat at Mike's place. I mean, Mike and his wife Susan are the nicest people in the world, and it's like this charisma that draws their staff and their clientele in. But dealing with them doing sales can be a hot mess because they don't want to be pigeonholed. They want to, I don't know, I don't know. So they'll waste your time being friendly, not just telling you no or not saying yes, and actually coming through and committing. It's honestly, in my whole life, I've done so many different sales avenues and different things and businesses that I can honestly say it is hands down the most challenging industry to do sales, because every day is a different day for the restaurant and for the food service company, that to build that rapport and build that relationship that when they need something they call you is very expensive. And yeah, we've got thousands of customers and whatnot, but it's just sheer grit and grinding and staying in touch. Like there isn't a magic sauce other than be real friendly and make sure when you leave don't piss them off, so that if they need something they might call you. But man, truly, I would love to tell you that, oh yeah, it's easy. You do this one thing, but man, it's not easy. It is truly. And then you'll have an owner of the restaurant that doesn't make the decisions of how the restaurant runs. They hire managers, and maybe it's the general manager, and maybe the general manager says, you know what, I don't even care about what happens with the waste. That's for the chef. That's for the kitchen manager, or that's delegated to somebody else. And so, it's like so complicated to know who in the world do you even talk to, and the constant runaround. It's friendly. Be real friendly.
That makes sense, man.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do.
Well, I got a couple, just one or two other questions, Joe. If you're still watching or tuning in, just drop in where you guys are tuning in from. This is again Legacy Decoded segment about building boldly. Got Big Joe, BioJoe on with Green Energy. Where do you want to be? Where do you see Green Energy going in like the next 6 to 12 months from now?
We've got some acquisitions lined up that we're planning on executing on. That once completed, we will be able to more than double our account holding in a growth and through acquisition market opportunities. But past that, we have a small sales team currently that we're planning on building up to a 6 to 10 person sales team, versus we currently have roughly 3 people that do sales for us. Which you would think, how do y'all have thousands of clients and do over $20 million a year and have that small sales team? And it's where we are, but it's just not how it's going to work going forward. When you scale and grow and add more accounts, those accounts have to be serviced and taken care of, and there's opportunities to upsell some of the clients that maybe they've never been offered anything but just simply cookable collections. That's it. And so, for us, we offer a whole array of services for the restaurants that there's an opportunity to go even to our existing clients and upsell them on the other services that we offer. So our plan for the next 6 to 12 is acquisition and sales staff, growing our sales staff. We do have the secret sauce in the business and the operations and how we do what we do. But our market branding and market reach and, being that first name that someone thinks of, if they need help with any kind of food waste or federal or grease, that's our big messaging plan. We just overhauled our entire website for resold compost. We start on Green Energy Biofuel's website, gebiofuel.com. We're going to start overhauling it and making it a better site. It's not bad. Neither one of them were bad before. It's just, man, there's so much that you can do to make things better. And this is another one of these business things that you got to have in your budget to build one, obviously, but then you have to immediately also have in your budget money to rebuild them every so many years because technology changes and you have to. And because everybody is so quick to Google up a solution, it can't just be that you have a nice website. You got to spend all kinds of money to keep it viable. And it's a full-time job. And so, our 12-month plan is really about market penetration and market.
Love it. And if you could solve one major challenge today in the business, what would that actually be?
Systems, internal systems. So, when you start a business, you can start on paper. Literally on a piece of paper, you can run a business. That, hey, I wrote down that I went to, Bob's Pizza Shack and I went to Mike's, hot dog and whatever. But then at a point, you have to move to a computer system and, Excel or whatever. And so then, you think you're going somewhere, and then you just keep evolving and getting into new systems to run and manage the business. And you have to use QuickBooks or some type of software for that, and then you continue to grow, and then you got to have a payroll system, and then you got to have a this and a that and a this and a that. It's really hard to scale without having the right system in place to start with. And there's very few scalable systems in the marketplace that are known, like I know of them, because I've been doing this for a hot minute, but we're actually developing our own software right now that allows you to do your CRM, so your contact resource management of all the sales cycle and names and addresses and contact information to do marketing and branding and whatnot. But then also that same system used to do quotes and to do billing once a quote moves into a job or service, and then move into another system for predicting when the next service is needed and when the next opportunity for billing occurs. Some of the work that we do is monthly, some is weekly, some is quarterly, some is yearly. And so having a system that can track all of that and help tell you where to go and what to do. We have been working internally for years and years and years to work with other companies, demoing their software, helping them develop their software, thinking that we were helping ourselves get into a better platform that can do what we need. And what we've learned at the end of almost 20 years is, we should have built our own software from day one. But you don't realize that at the beginning. You don't even think about this at the beginning. But now, looking back and looking at where we are, we can't scale and grow without the right platform to manage our business. And I don't mean aspects of, I'm talking of all of it. So currently, we literally have QuickBooks, and we have Zoho, and we have a bill pay system, and we have a payroll system, and we have a collection system, and we have a whole another collection service system, and we have another system that we use just to pay the clients because we pay people for the oil that we get. That's a whole separate system. And I'm not kidding, it is bananas that we've got all these layers of complexity of systems that have to communicate with one another effectively so balls don't get dropped and things don't happen wrong. But it is incredibly expensive to create something from scratch that can do all of that and to know what you're doing when you create it. And now that we've gotten to where we are, we know what we need, and we also know how to create it from having tried to help so many companies over the years. It truly, just in our service side of our business, we've probably demoed or used for a year or more almost 10 different platforms. And you talk about
Mm.
disruption to business. To stop
Right.
using one platform, shift everything over, and learn how to use a whole another one, and then turns out that was deficient. Can't do
Mm.
but this thing's good, and you get another one. Oh well, let's demo it. Yeah, this looks way better. And you get into it, and you find other deficiencies, and it's like all I've essentially done is research and development on how to create our own system that does work, that can scale. And so, if I could choose one thing to fix in our business, it's absolutely our
Gotcha.
system management. But see, that doesn't matter when you're young, though. When you're a small business, you've got 500 or less clients. Who cares? Go service them. But now we're where we are. I mean, I don't know where we would be had we invested the million, half million, a lot of money in a
Mm.
system a long time ago. I mean, I know we
Mm.
would be better than we are now because now we're investing that in the system only through disruption to operations for years and years and years. And I mean, it turns out you piss off clients, you don't get them paid, you don't get their services right, you have turnover. I mean, it's a problem. And so, that's a big focus of ours.
I love that, man. And as we wrap up, Joe, is there anything that you would love to kind of just leave the listeners with? Anything at all? And how can people?
Well, the mic drop moment, the mic drop moment would be
Mm.
two things. Number one, believe in yourself because no one else will. And the second thing is, don't tell anyone your ideas because all they do is shoot them down because they don't see it, they don't believe in it, they don't have the vision, they don't have the understanding. You have to work in quiet and privately for a certain amount of time before you can bring others in to get help because people inherently are reluctant to change, and any new ideas, any new concepts, any new things will be met with criticism and be met with judgment, and it's not always a fun, friendly environment to be the only one that
Yeah.
believes how something should work. I can tell you we have done everything wrong
Mm.
from day one, but those things that we've done wrong have led to doing it right now. And if I was taking advice from people along the way over all these years, we would have
Mm.
failed a long time ago. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to stick with it.
Love it, love it. So if you're an entrepreneur, a creator, or someone looking to build your own legacy to make an impact that truly matters, then the lessons from Green Energy and Big Bio Joe are invaluable. We've only scratched the surface of their incredible story today. I encourage you to visit their website, gebiofuel.com, to learn more about their journey and their ongoing work. And if you found value in this episode, please share it with someone who needs to hear a message like this of resilience, of impact. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, right? It truly helps us reach more legacy builders like you. Yeah, Joe, I'd love to just thank you again for just spending this time with us and teaching us more about what you guys do at Green Energy and biodiesel as a whole.
Thank you so much. I was glad for an opportunity to talk. I hope everybody found it informative and worth the listen. I can tell you it's a crazy world, a crazy market to be in. But if we can ever help in any way, let us know.
Absolutely. Until next time, legacy builders.